East Longmeadow, and welcome to another edition of What's Up in ELPS. I'm Allie Santinello.
And I'm Natalie Rathbun. We start this week's episode with some thoughts about citizenship from students at Meadowbrook School in a short video produced by Counselor Betsy Sheehan, part of a monthly discussion around themes devoted to character.
Citizenship is being a part of a community. You should be a good citizen, and you should pay attention and do what you're supposed to do. You follow the rules. You do your best. Be kind and be friendly. I want everyone to be nice in Meadowbrook School. It makes people feel safe and comfortable. That a lot of people are nice here, and it's a good school. Our school is like, we always have a community together, and when problems are made, problems are always solved. I mean, there's no open thing there's going to be a problem. They're always going to be solved. And when you have a problem or anything that's just bad, you're just going to solve it out. And you can learn from problems.
Sometimes I see people hurt, and then other people, they're not just walking by laughing. They're trying to help them. Yeah, or if someone's left out, they're asking them if they want to join.
If you say something, you're gonna do it. And people can trust you. You respect your teacher, and you don't talk when she's talking. Because it keeps everyone safe, and it usually keeps everybody together and being nice to each other. You want to behave nice, but if there's a new kid or something, you want to just welcome them and make them feel comfortable, and you want to behave like you can show the teacher that you're good, and you can be loyal, and you can be good enough you can be a good student and help others.
And that when you're clapping, that you can't just keep talking. You need to stop and listen. Because it's respectful. If you see someone, it's trying to get your attention. You can't just ignore them. That's not polite.
Because Meadowbrook is a kind school, and it's a very good place to be in. It makes our school the best place we can be. Our job is to listen and to learn and follow the rules that they give us. I will do my part. I will do my part. I will do my part.
Next, we go to Mountain View, where students had a visit last week from TV weatherman Dan Brown.
My name's Dan Brown. I'm the morning weatherman for Western Mass News. Do you guys know another name for, a more technical name for a weatherman? Go ahead, yeah. Close. I work with news reporters. What do you think? Begins with an M. A weatherman or a, what do you think?
Meteorologist.
Yes, meteorologist, right. I get to work, I show up at work at 4 o'clock. What do I do?
You check the weather?
Yes, exactly. Well, exactly. I check what the weather's going to be. I look at the temperatures. I look at the satellite, which takes pictures of clouds. I look at the radar, and I look at all this weather information, and I put together a weather forecast. So when I'm standing in front of the green screen, what do you guys see at home? Pictures. You see graphics. So I have to update those graphics. I have to change the temperatures. I have to put together all of the forecasts that I put together. I have to make it so that the graphics behind me match what I'm saying.
How do you know if there's going to be a storm, or how do you know it's going to rain or be sunny?
It's a good question. So we have computer models that we look at that will actually show us what the weather's going to be like out in time. It'll show it in a map, and it will show the precipitation heading our way. And it's a model. And there's 3 or 4 different models that show this. And they're not all the same. So I have to kind of figure out which model is making sense and which one isn't. So we'll look at the models, but we also look at those things that I pointed out before. The satellite, Like you can see the clouds that were going to move out. And this afternoon, when I came in this morning, it was cloudy. But you can see the clouds, the clearing line was coming our way, so you can see that the sun was going to come out today. And you look at the temperatures, and you put all that together, and it helps you figure out whether or not a storm's coming, or if it's going to rain, or if it's going to snow. You know, like remember how I told you, like the prompter, the reporters will read stuff on the screen, and the words go up and down? Well, now the actual reporter and anchor will have a remote so they can turn it. Back when I first started, somebody used to actually turn it. The reporter or the anchor wouldn't turn it. It would be, we had someone that did that, the prompter operator. So the prompter operator kind of dozed out, spaced out, whatever. So I have my script and I'm reading it and then it stops moving. So I had to like fumble my way through and blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, and back to you. But it was still on me and I went like this. And I remember I got yelled at for that.
Also at Mountain View, students in Mrs. Fallon's 4th grade recently took part in a new curriculum activity called Mystery Science. The project starts off with a 2-minute introduction video followed by a set of questions that activate their thinking. This leads to a hands-on activity. In this activity, students use paper layouts, scissors, string, and tape to create a robotic finger personalized to their own hands.
I don't think mine's gonna work. Oh, it's crinkling.
Now, these 4th graders have a better understanding of the mechanisms that govern the everyday movements of things like fingers that they often take for granted.
At Mapleshade, 4th graders recently took their annual hike to the summit of Mount Holyoke in South Hadley, where environmental education coordinator Ginny Traub guided careful observation of features and habitats in the park as a way to understand the history and species diversity of the mountain. Using iPads, students logged their observations as a part of a scavenger hunt by taking photographs and videos to document their exploration. Back in the classroom, students worked in groups to create their short documentary video presentations about their discoveries and produce this video about their trip for What's Up. Check it out.
Fourth grade students from Maple Shade School recently journeyed to Skinner Skate Park for a science field trip.
The day was perfect with a colorful backdrop of a beautiful scenic views.
Students used iPads for digital scavenger hunt that included questions such as
Show evidence of erosion, take a picture of a spiderweb, show evidence of an animal, and on what day did a plane crash into the side of the mountain.
we had lunch at the summit of the mountain, and besides a few curious bees, it was a perfect day of learning and exploration.
Take a look at some of our pictures that we took on our field trip.
Recently, the first Makerspace Challenge of the year drew a huge turnout of teams competing to devise a solution to the problem put before them by Principal Allen.
Welcome to October's Makerspace Challenge. It's also our first of the year. So the winning team today is going to have a lot of pride because that means you're designers, creators, and innovators. We're very excited. Today we are doing the Floating Trash Boat Challenge. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, you have been asked to research and develop a scale model of a container that a city could actually use to haul trash away from an island. The city is looking for a container that can hold the most weight and still be able to float. All you're gonna get are 6 sheets of plain white paper, half a sheet of transparency. It's clear paper. 24 inches of masking tape. That's it. That's it. That's it. Get with your team. Good luck.
Finally tonight, a group of students in LCAT's production class had a chance to visit with ELHS grad Christopher Mackin, a Hollywood filmmaker who started making movies with his friends back in high school. Mackin took time on a recent visit home to stop by and share some of his experiences with Justin Ross and Sam Labonte.
Hey, it's Justin. Welcome to Joel Morning. I'm here with special guest Chris Mackin and my partner, Sam Labonte. Chris, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Oh, well, thanks for having me on the show. Wonderful plants, wonderful setup you have here.
Thank you.
My name's Christopher Mackin. I'm a writer and director, originally from East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, where you guys, do your things.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Los Angeles currently, and I work in the film industry.
What inspired you to get into this?
I was always interested in storytelling, and just giving people entertainment and the challenge of making people laugh. It's also a big thing. Yeah.
Now, Chris, how did you know that you wanted to get into producing?
Well, if you mean in terms of the business side, there's definitely a big difference between making your own passion projects versus trying to get into the business of things. And getting into the industry is definitely more of a challenge because you have to work your way up a ladder. It's all about connections and finding a way to make stories and content marketable. So it's its own challenge in itself for sure.
Yeah. All right. Considering our ages, 15, 17, would you promote your content to us, or are they for a certain kind of group?
Ooh, I'd say definitely for you guys. I've fallen in with a group. I assist Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that's definitely you guys are the audience.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting older now. They're in their 13th season, but it still resonates with high schoolers and college kids. Not so much people in their 40s. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that I write and direct is definitely more comedy-esque and super goofy. stuff that, like, you know, if I'll show my parents, they'll be like, oh, I'm proud of you that you're making things, but they're not going to enjoy it as much as you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you coming from East Longmeadow, this little town outside Springfield that no one knows about, did you ever think that you would make it to Hollywood producing films?
I didn't, because it's, I don't know, like, I guess if I was in your year now, having all this amazing studio and stuff, I would have an idea about it. But it's not exactly the town where people go out and do that type of thing. So I never thought it was a possibility until I went to school in Boston. So getting at least an hour out, I started to realize that, like, you know, people do other things that, like, I mean, like, you can get a job being creative.
Yes.
Yeah, which is tough if you stay in a town where, you know, it's not a mecca of the arts in any way. It's more of like a small town environment. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. So steering off the filming, how did you get through high school, and what advice would you give us?
Oh man, high school wasn't like tough. I don't know. I didn't have like a solid group of friends. I was like, I don't know. I just kind of focused on, you know, making ridiculous videos with my friends, and man, that's a tough question. I played sports. I played like a lacrosse and stuff. I never was like super into it. It was kind of something that just like I was always thrown into, and it was a way to pass the time. If I could go back and like do it again, I would definitely, you know, put a handle on the sports and, I don't know, maybe spend more time in the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah.
With all the films that you've created in your life, what kind of films do you prefer to make?
I'd say comedy. It's definitely more of a challenge. I mean, like, you gotta appreciate the art that is like the drama and all of those type of genres. But with comedy, it's not only it's just everything that goes into it has to work. So like, you know, you have to get a good cast, which is a challenge in itself. You have to have a good script, and then like once you have everything put together, you know, which is a crazy challenge, it's all the editing, it's all the timing, and you know, your stuff has to be good enough to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So like,
okay, so follow-up question to that. Do you think comedy is like one of the hardest things to film?
oh, definitely.
Definitely?
It's the hardest. It's definitely like the hardest genre to make, especially for actors. You know, unless you're like a goofy person like Carrot Top or something, like actors need to play comedy straight. So it all comes down to the writing and the editing, because they just need to be put in funny situations. Like they're not going to go out there and be like, oh, I'm all goofy and stuff. Like they need to play it straight.
All right, and from when you started filming, what was your favorite thing to participate in?
You mean like you mean
like,
like,
I mean
as
like,
of now?
As of now.
I was fortunate enough to work on the new Pacific Rim movie coming out, and that was a great time because we filmed it in Australia and in China.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a really cool experience because I got to, you know, meet local Australian crew and just kind of see the areas around the world where big movies go and shoot in their studios because you know they get cheaper deals, cheaper tax incentives if they hire local people. Yeah, it was just cool to see that side of things, just internationally for sure.
All right, well, that's about all our questions we have.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chris, for
Of course,
coming
thanks for
on the
having
show.
me.
Yeah, that's about it.
That will do it for this edition of What's Up. I'm Natalie Rothman.
And I'm Allie Scantinello. Thanks for watching. See you next time.